A very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hunters channel. Today we have our guest today for this episode, Tom Panos. He is the famous and trusted face in real estate that everyone knows. Tom, tell us a bit about yourself. Everyone knows you, but this episode especially for clients direct.
Okay, so Ramiz, thank you for having me on, firstly, and hello to everyone that's watching. I want to let you know that my life is built around real estate. I'm a News Corp columnist, so I write for Telegraph, The Australian, the Herald, all News Corp columnists. I appear on real estate TV shows, and I run an auction company and real estate training company. So everything I do is immersed in real estate, and I know for the purposes of today, which we're talking to sellers about this changing market, it's information that I think is critical because this market is changing.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, when we get stuck in anything in real estate as real estate agents, Tom Panos is the trusted source. He's the one that we go to. He trains all the successful real estate agents in Australia and auctioneers in Australia. So you will hear from him direct the information that we want you to learn about today. So the first question I want to ask you, Tom, the market changed. It's not the same like last year. So we go across a vendor and we go to list a property and we launch an auction campaign. And what would be the best advice you give our vendors that looking to sell anytime from now to the next 12 months? What would be the best advice you would give them?
Well, I wouldn't be selling in 12 months. I'd be selling closer now than later. And the reason why, Ramiz, is as this video and podcast is being shot, the data across most of Australia and definitely New South Wales is that there is a shortage of listings. It's an absolute shortage of listings.
That's true.
And Ramiz, what makes this really interesting is that we're currently in an environment where we've had 12 rate rises. I also want to let you know that whilst interest rates are nowhere near what they were in 1991 or 1992 when we had interest rates of 18%, they are in fact now at the highest rate they've been versus people's income as a proportion for decades. So the truth is we are in challenging times. And what's interesting is, Ramiz, is I think that we have some difficult roads to come maybe in spring. I'm not saying the market's going to crash, but right now, you and I know there's a bit of a mini boom in real estate happening because there's not a lot of stock on the market. That's going to change in September. And I always say, if you're a vendor and you're contemplating on selling, sell in isolation now, June, July, August, not in competition with others in spring, which is September, October, November. And that goes against the advice most people are given. Because Ramiz, most people think spring's out, flowers look good, homes look better. But when you go on the market in spring, so is everyone else. So what happens is if you're a buyer, you've got a lot to pick from. But it gets worse because this spring, we've got a lot of people coming off fixed loans to variable loans. In fact, in Australia, the total mortgage market is made up of 1/3 is fixed loans, 2/3 are variable loans. 80% of those fixed loans are coming off between July 2023 and March 2024. And that says to me a lot of people are going from interest rates of less than 2% and they're going to be coming on at 6%, Ramiz. And this is not so good if you're a seller in spring because you might have people on the market that are distressed sellers. They have to sell. They can't afford the loan repayments. They've been impacted by the 12 rate rises. So basically what I'm saying is if you're a seller right now in this marketplace, fast track your plans, come on the market, sell June, July, August, and then be a buyer in spring.
The sooner you go on the market, the better, especially in this environment. Traditionally, I agree, spring season is great and beautiful and you have a lot of activities going on, but it's all about the supply and demand. And I think, correct me if I'm right or wrong, but what's happening now, what's holding the prices on the market is just short of supply. Like we didn't get affected badly now. Like still okay, we're still listing and selling fine with all these interest rate increases. Is that right?
So Ramiz, all you've got to look at is the CoreLogic RP data auction volume tables. And what you're seeing is in, say, Sydney alone, generally speaking, we're down in volumes around 20 to 30%. So if you think about it, if a particular week there was 1,000 auctions, now there's 700 auctions. So there's a lot less stock on the market, and that works in the favor of the seller. And if that wasn't happening, Ramiz, we would have had property prices absolutely hit hard, because 12 rate rises in 13 months would have meant that we would have had an oversupply of forced sellers. That hasn't happened, but I'm worried that it will happen.
Tom, on the other side, I'm a buyer and I'm looking to buy within the next 12 months. And some buyers now, they ask, say, is that a good time to buy now, or I wait until the market goes down? What would be your advice?
Well, firstly, if you're a buyer in real estate, you never make a buying decision based on the market. You make a buying decision based on your life. Because the truth is, with interest rates, think about it, you only date interest rates. It's not a permanent relationship. They go up and down. So when you buy a house, you get married to it. So the house is far more important than the market that you're buying in. So what is my advice if you're a buyer? If you're a buyer right now, if you find a house that you like and it appears that it's reasonable value, I'd buy it. Because the truth is, you might wait September, October, November, and you might end up having a 5% discount, but it might not be the house that you want. So just buy the one that you want. And as long as you're not planning to sell it within a couple of years, it doesn't matter, because it gets amortized. If it does drop 5 or even 10%, it will get amortized. Not only that, Ramiz, it's very important to understand, you are probably buying at a discount level now anyway, because when we compare the COVID prices to now, you are saving somewhere between 10 and 15% anyway. So I would buy, but if you haven't found the home that you like, don't panic and pay for something that you don't want, because I think you're going to have a lot more to pick from in about 2 to 3 months' time.
So it doesn't matter really like how the market is going, because if you're buying and selling in the same market, it's still going to be all right. Is that right?
Well, 100%, because you're revenue neutral. You sell low, you buy low. You sell high, you buy high. In fact, the best trades in real estate, Ramiz, upgraders, are done in markets like this. And if you're really intelligent, and I've got a lot of my smart clients that are doing it, they sell high, buy low. And you can pull off this strategy maybe this time, because right now, if you sell, you'll get decent money. And then if you come back in the market as a buyer in spring, you should be able to buy well. So that's a good sell high, buy low strategy. But it's very important, those of you that are watching, real estate is not crypto, it is not shares, it's not equities. With real estate, you're buying something that you're going to have for quite a while. So you don't want to buy something because, oh, it's cheap, I'm buying it. If you don't like the house in a year's time, you've got to sell it. You're up for legals, agents' fees, marketing, stamp duty, right? It doesn't make sense. So just buy the thing that you like, and don't ever try and time the market. Because when I have people that say to me, Ramiz, oh, Tom, I want to try and buy at the bottom of the market. Think about it. The only way you know the market has bottomed is when the market goes up, because you can look back and say, that was the bottom back then.
That was a good price.
Correct. But by that stage, it's too late.
Yeah.
You've missed it, right?
Yeah.
So I would say just buy if that property is there. But if you're an upgrader, don't panic. You're in the same situation. In fact, maybe the one that you're buying has dropped more than the one that you're selling. So you might be better off as an upgrader in this market.
Excellent. Tom, I have a situation. Now, what's the go with investors? So investors now, they struggle a little bit. So investors, when someone owns 3, 4, 5, 6 properties or portfolios of properties, and they pay high interest rate, the rent is not enough, and land tax is killing a lot of our clients that we come across and we talk to. Now, investors, there's nothing to encourage investors to buy investment property now. I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. There's 1.5 million immigrants coming to the country. They will need a place to live. Is that the case? Is that where you can see that going to be?
100%. So the issue at the moment with investors is that, and even there are a few investors that are actually selling properties right now, because if you think about it, some of these investors have got loans on their own homes. So they're struggling with the 12 rate rises that we've had on their own home. So they'll offload that investment property. This is something that we're beginning to see. But Ramiz, quite rightly, you're 100% correct. Development has come to a standstill. No one's building projects. We have a supply issue coming up. It's very obvious. And Dr. Lowe from the Reserve Bank actually said he thinks that one of the solutions, which I don't agree, I mean, I can see how it can help. He's saying, people need to stay at home longer and live and not move from their homes because there is a supply issue. So what does that mean? If you're an investor right now, you've got good times coming ahead, because you've got people coming into this country with money. They need somewhere to live. No one's building new projects. It basically means existing stock is going to get topped up. And the good news is, if you're an investor and you buy now, you're getting good yields too, right? You've seen how much rents have gone up.
Absolutely. And look, I will tell you something. I've seen a lot of our clients, they struggle a little bit with a lot of investment properties around, and they panic. And they say, hey, we're going to sell it. We're going to get rid of this. I think they shouldn't panic. That's my personal opinion. But that's why you know better than anyone else. Like, you can tell us if that's the right advice to give our clients. If you are an investor, we can see the signs. I can see the building material and cost. It's going like, skyrocket. It's just very expensive. We've got a lot of builders and developers we deal with, and they say, look, it's expensive. And from the other hand, I find one of my investors say, look, I'm losing $50,000 or $100,000 in an apartment. Should I sell it or not? I honestly say don't. If you can hold into it. I know there's a holding cost, but I don't see that gonna keep going.
Ramiz, we're quite fortunate right now because you can pick up a side hustle. Employment is not an issue. There's a lot of work out there. Do a few extra hours here, do a side job, hang on to it if you can. In fact, if you're an investor, right now, I'd be buying. I would be buying. Why? When there's fear in the market, winners come out of it, people that buy. That's when to buy, when there's fear in the market. And you sell when the market's booming and there's no fear and there's confidence. That is the strategy of the best in real estate. They buy in turbulent markets and they sell in booming markets. So I think it's an investor's dream. In fact, I'm looking to buy.
Absolutely, I agree. Tom, in 20 seconds, can you tell us how is the property market going now?
It's different for different people. Good houses, they're going through the roof. In fact, Ramiz, there's a mini boom happening. With units, less so, unless they're quality units. Right now, if you're a seller, you're going to capitalize on low volumes. I'd sell now.
If you give one advice to someone who is selling right now, what would this advice be?
Pick the best agent, not the cheapest agent, because I can tell you, in my 38 years of real estate, Ramez, there's nothing more expensive than having a bad agent in front of a hot buyer. That can get really expensive.
A client told me the other day, with 12 interest rate rising, I'm not selling now. I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, well, the problem that you're going to have is you'll be waiting for more rate rises. You'll be waiting for people that are distressed sellers. You'll be waiting for all this other stock that's going to come on the market. Right now, you've got this golden opportunity. We've got a high absorption market. Stock is getting absorbed within days. There is no stock out there. In fact, right now is a great time to be selling.
Now, what would be the best method in this current market to sell a home? Auction or private treaty?
Look, there's other options as well, expressions of interest, and there's a few of these hybrid options. I think you've got to speak to your real estate agent. I think what you've got to do is sit down with a professional that understands the dynamics and trends in that market. But generally speaking, if it's a nice property, if it's a house, auction is the way to go. If it's a unit and there's a lot of other properties that can be reproduced or on the market like it, maybe private treaty. But I don't want to answer that until I've seen a property inside. That's why you need to speak to your local agent.
Absolutely. That's what we always advise. So every property is different, individual, and every situation is different. And depends on what you want to achieve. Is that
Correct.
right? That's what we learn from you.
Correct.
3 years ago, anything sells regardless. Now, we do this extra bit, staging, fixing something, make it presentable as much as we can. That's what we do. Now, buyers are a lot sophisticated than before. Do you agree?
100% they are. 100% they are.
And they like to buy something really nice and different. This unique point of difference achieve a bit more for the clients. That's what we learn from you, and that's what you tell us. We have to dress it the best way it should be.
100%. I think, Ramiz, when you sell a property, in many ways, what you're doing is launching a new product on the market, like a new iPhone, or like a new television, or like a new car. And there are other products on the market. So you're competing against other products. For me, there's a formula in real estate. You need to have world-class marketing, right? Because real estate, it's not the best home that wins, it's the best marketed home that wins. That's number one. Number two, make sure you hire an agent that's a great negotiator, because the difference between a good agent and a bad agent is 10% in the price. Negotiation is critical. And the third thing is, you want to make sure that you've got a connection with the agent. You're going to be living with that agent for around 1 to 2 months. They're going to be in your personal space. They're going to be with your family. You need to have trust in the relationship, because when there's trust in the relationship, everything becomes negotiable in business.
Do you mind if I ask you a question about the block? You have the highest record in history in the block. The highest record ever. How did you achieve this? What did you do different from anyone else to get this record?
So firstly, it's a collaborative approach. It's between an agent and an auctioneer. So I can't underestimate how important the agent you pick. You need a marketing-based agent. Number two is, I've got to let you know, you've got to go out and find the buyer. In this market, the buyer doesn't come to you. You've got to go out and find the buyer. So you need an agent that is very hardworking and uses modern, high-tech, high-touch methods to attract buyers, including artificial intelligence, including marketing that attracts the passive aspirational buyer, not just the buyer that sits on realestate.and-domain.com. And the last thing is, what you want to do is to make sure, as you said earlier on, you've got to have incredible presentation, because real estate is a popularity contest. You want your home to outcompete the other properties.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Tom, for coming to our
Thank you so much, Ramiz.
podcast.
It's an absolute pleasure and privilege.
Thank you.